Hello, 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 hello. There we go. I think we have sound. We might be a bit too loud, so let's pull that. Sorry about that. Yeah, so sometimes I have to get things ready when we go live. Well, welcome back, everybody. It is I, Heroscaper, here for a little bit of a stream, mainly just to dust the cobwebs off, get back in the routine of things today. We're going to be opening up some new Revenant dice that we got. Not Revenant, utgar dice, as well as check out Decker and talk about some things and maybe paint along the way. This is not going to be a very long stream, but like I said, I'm trying to get back in the groove of making videos, making content. It's been, I mean, I've been doing some more edited videos lately, but it will be nice to go back to doing some live streams as well, as I don't have to edit those too much. So right here we have our utgar dice, which are great comparatively, as we'll talk about soon, and got these in the mail today. They just announced from Renegade's 1 year of selling Heroscape, so kind of a special surprise dice, which, by the way, I believe into September you have free shipping on all Heroscape items, so if you're looking to get some stuff without paying their outrageous shipping fees, now's definitely the time to get that. And using the ceremonial tweezers, we're going to open this package and check them out. I didn't feel like this warranted a whole video of opening dice. I didn't want to edit that. Some people care more than me in that regard. Alright, so we can channel the ruthless power of Utgar, the Valkyrie General of War and Domination, with its exclusive dice set designed for Heroscape battles. So yeah, just a fun little dice set. So it does come with a D20. I actually didn't realize that. This is a interesting D20. The parts where it is more solid red are lots more visible, because visibility is kind of the name of the game, and they are readable, and you can read those pretty clearly from a distance. The part where kind of the black part blends in is a tough bit hard to read, but let's see how this rolls for me. 5, 4, 20. So, duality of man there. I don't roll too good typically. As people know, I am a pretty notoriously bad roller. But hey, I got a 20, so. Then we have the dice itself. I really like these dice. These dice, listen to that glorious dice jangle in my hands there. They feel solid. I like that they're etched in, so you don't have a chance of the the logos kind of being removed, as some of my old classic style dice have a tendency of doing. And they are considerably easier to read than their Revenant counterparts. I think it's just the darker contrast. Of course, I mean, there is the issue of the same color symbols, but you look at this, you can definitely at least are aware of this. This comes with 10 dice, so most things you shouldn't be needing more than 10. 12 is like, I think, the optimum number of dice you'll ever need to roll, unless you're doing some crazy power build. And will we keep these dice together? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean like that at all, right? Probably not. I mean, I'm going to try to, because apparently it bugs people if I don't. At Gen Con, people got really mad when I was like using this dice and Valkyrie dice all together in the same bowl. It gave some people respective aneurysms, which is, you gotta understand the mind games. But no, I stopped once it was asked to, because it caused too much chaos for me to do. And welcome Tales to the chat, by the way. So these, I just wanted to kind of compare and contrast them. So this is the championship dice, exclusive to Gen Con for participating in, I think, the semifinals of the championship. These are probably my favorite dice released thus far. They're really cool. Kind of have a a gold clear symbol to them. They definitely emit power and presence here. And then we have the oft derided Revenant dice. As you can see, it's got kind of this milky red kind of glow to it, and even on the camera, it is hard to kind of notice visibly. A lot has been said about that ad nauseum, but comparatively, these are awesome. Like, it's just that darker tone. They feel evil if you're rolling up with a Morrow army. These are definitely going to commit a presence. The D20 itself, also really good. So if you're a Heroscape fan, you want every dice possible, you like the clickety clackety to roll to attackety, then you know, definitely check them out. I think they're $20 now on Renegade, so a little pricey for dice, but you know, it's more for a collector if you want them. But definitely fun dice to have, and easily readable. Next, I realized I never officially opened a Decker, so that I got another one. I'm kind of starting to build a stockpile up, as I'm kind of trying to take a hiatus from commissions and just kind of paint at my own pace, as I think I was overdoing myself a bit, but you know, just because I still want to sell stuff, to give some stuff to the community, but I just don't like deadlines over my head. So all I have to say is, here is Decker. This is probably the 10th I've opened so far, as I have painted a lot of these. Actually, here's one I painted like two nights ago, and then I painted another one the day before that. I haven't made a tutorial on how to paint Decker. Honestly, I probably should just do that. I've been working on just kind of going through some backlog projects, but also I kind of haven't decided like how I want to do it. Should I just do more of an easy method or more of an advanced method, or do 2 separate videos with one for each? Definitely let me know what you would love to see for a Decker tutorial. As I try to kind of take my painting tutorials and highlight one aspect and then kind of gloss over more details. So he's a fun little guy. I also taught a painting class for him at ScapeCon. Currently one of my favorite Vorids, not in terms of sculpt, but in terms of moveset. He's definitely comparatively a lot more balanced. Yeah, there's a lot of Deckers. I think I've painted altogether like 6 or 7. So I could never have enough Deckers. But they're unpainted, so I try to keep a supply. At least I'm trying to keep a stock supply of painted Deckers on hand, because some people just can't paint them, and I get that. Here is his card and his sandwich bag for your safety and our safety. I'm sure this is really late to the game. I'm still working on my Gen Con video, which is rapidly getting less and less relevant. I'm just kind of I'm defragging. I'm doing some me time here, but I'm actually just really trying to focus more on videos. I'm working on updating the background. So there's stuff going on behind the scenes. Not a lot of it is interesting. He's got the underground movement where he pretty much can teleport effectively in game to a different spot, but thematically he's burrowing underneath the ground. And he has a drill drive special attack, which is, I'm probably gonna have to make a video. I've been toying with a video, new series called Miscapes, like instead of mistakes, where they're just commonly confused or mistaken aspects of Heroscape. And you know, we go into more detail, like flying rules, or ladder rules, or weird things like this, because I get a lot of weird interactions or questions based off his ability. Pretty much you go 4 bases in a straight line, and then you make a ranged attack from where you end. So it's not like you attack people one at a time. You choose like range bonuses like trees and heights with that based off Decker's final destination. Of course, this attack doesn't grant heights advantage to any person he attacks, but kind of the same idea. He has some unique utility with the Vorids, where you can move him into place and then put a surprise order marker on him and kind of dig through a lot of people. Lore-wise, he's probably one of the most evil people in the game, as he just is like evicts people out of their homes forcibly by collapsing tunnels onto them while they still live inside of it. So not morally the best guy, definitely a remnant of late stage animal capitalism, which is always always fun to have. Back of the box says, crafty and opportunistic, the newest General Valeric has sent Decker forth as a scout while she plans her opening move. With underground movement and devastating drilling attacks, Valeric's first followers will clear the way for her advance. Yeah, Valeric's getting a lot of love, as revealed in Gen Con. There's lots more stuff to come. Lastly, I already opened this up because I am impatient and I wanted to wear it for the stream. But this is a shirt from Hexhala. They got this awesome chibi design. Apparently, they have shirts, as as if you were on their channel. There are other YouTubers that they just realized that they haven't been promoting their shirts, so I thought I'd help them out as well. This is an awesome design. You know, I love Kimoshi looking like she has like a half-used sucker as her weapon, and it's a really good art. And I know it's not AI; they have an artist who works for them, do the stuff. So link is in the description if you want to get some. They have some awesome other shirts like Solid and the Bears and even their own custom moth shoe that they designed. As much as they are they're my rivals, they are also my my friends. If you want to see more details of our ongoing beef, you definitely check out their channel as well. But yeah, that's all the unboxing stuff, just kind of small stuff I didn't really want to put into a video. And I had it marked on my calendar. I had to stream today no matter what. So I put all this stuff together and started doing it. Now let's start painting. That's actually something I am more comfortable doing. If you notice, I've been trying to update the setup a bit to make it a bit more cleaner, a little bit less busy. So let's see how that actually works in person. I didn't really know what I was going to paint today. I just figured I would grab something nearby, much like the lava crabs. Which I am currently working on a video for that as well. And I figured why not paint my Gothlock. I have painted these several times, but I can never manage to hold on to them as they always get snatched up by people. People wanting this. This is a... what model is it? I want to say... So much beef, I need to get a cattle farm. Indeed tail is, yeah. My lifestyle is anathema to how they work. What is model? I think, let me look it up real fast. What model is he? I think he's from Pathfinder, but he might be from D&D. This is a custom unit from the VC community that the official painted model is almost impossible to find. But this is Orc on Dire. Yeah, it's a Pathfinder figure. So you could find these guys for like $4 online. It's honestly cheaper just to use him than it is to print it out, as it has a lot more details. Let me actually get a good brush. If you notice, there are some bubbles in my cup. Lately, I've been using just a small drop of dish soap in my cup, just to make the flow improver and keep my brush a lot more clean. But we're just going to start with some black brown from Pro Acryl. A really nice, just deep shade to add this kind of solid base layer over it. Good to catch you live. I played the first game, Reverse the Whip, at Gen Con. Oh, what army were you playing? I'm trying to remember, because I don't remember anything about Gen Con. Mainly, part of the reason I am struggling to... was that... If you tell me the army, I'll definitely remember what it was. But yeah, Reverse the Whip was a really fun match I played at Gen Con. I like Reverse the Whip. I've never actually played that format before because I've always been a little hesitant. Oh, Vords and Rayland. Yeah, that was a fun one. Welcome to the chat. And yeah, Rayland was used to pretty good effect, I heard, in that format, and Vords are doing pretty good too. But I like Reverse the Whip. It turns out, because I'm really good at making bad armies, so I can finally find a place for my skills to be put to use. Yeah, Kinjay was running the new Raylan that was available at the event, and I was pretty impressed with Raylan's abilities. I've yet to play with new Raylan on my own, but I got some Labor Day games coming up with some friends up in Missouri that I might break her out for. I was running lots of crabs at on reverse the whip just to make it kind of burdensome for whoever tries to wield my army. It was kind of fun. I like because honestly, I'm not a player that likes fielding a bunch of commons if at all possible, but I like fielding a bunch of crabs. I like the meme nature of the crabs. It's just it's like beating someone with Jigglypuff and Super Smash Bros. You just kind of sometimes it's fun to have a suboptimal figure and win some games with them. Yeah, I got a lot of post Gen Con stuff to catch up on. I have to talk about the reveals and what's to come and my tournaments I played in, and I don't know. For some reason, I've been hesitant to get that video down, which it's like easier than anything else. My computer kind of crashed a week ago, so when I was like in the process of working on it, it just kind of died, and I lost some progress on it, and I think I've just been unmotivated. Yeah, only Raylan for his championship one that ain't leaving the box. I took mine out of the box. I'm glad I realized it because I had a friend ask for one, so I got them a Raylan, and I just handed them the box. It wasn't until I got home I was like, oh wait, there's a sticker on it with a gold base. I would have been sad to give my gold Raylan away. Although now I'm in a predicament because I do want to touch up her paint job, but then it loses its championship status. But I do have an extra I might touch up on if I feel so inclined, because I kind of touch up all the promotionals so far, pre-painted promotionals, just to make them match more in line with my style of painting. Alright, we're going to let that dry for a little bit as we just make sure. We just did a solid base coat. You, of course, can do a zenithal if you kind of want to know where the highlights are. Thankfully, this guy is pretty easy to understand where light would fall on him. And so it's not too hard to kind of figure out. As I paint more and more, I'm moving more and more away from zenithal. I like just kind of a solid base coat and moving into it. But again, that's all preference. And I like being more in control of my light and the direction it's flowing. It's kind of my current thing. That's one of the reasons I'm taking a break from a lot of commissions. Is I'm really working on my light, my light placement. That's kind of what I'm practicing on to do more fun things with light and get some more unique colors on it. All right. While we're waiting for that to dry, I do have a Mogwai here from Source I finally got. I thought I might as well just get some color on this while I'm waiting for that color to dry. Just using the same colors. I like to group up some things with similar colors just to, kind of get rid of the dead time while it's drying. I hear you, the only trophy I got that was pumped about was the gold day 3 dice. Maybe you printed dice box, match them, so that's your trophy. Yeah, the gold dice are awesome. I'm a fan of those. I feel sad for those who aren't able to get them, but I'm also glad I was. I'm telling you, Gen Con was so much fun that I'm gonna have to make it happen again next year. It's unfortunately during like the busiest time for me work-wise, so it was a little bit of finagling to get there. But I'd love to do it again. I'm been contemplating which one I like more. Is Gen Con or Scape Con, and if you've ever been to both, it's kind of like a Sophie's choice at that point, where it's just hard to decide because they're both fun but in their own unique ways. Gen Con's really fun because you get more than Heroscape. You get everything. But it's also a lot more work and just a lot more people. So it can be a little bit more exhausting. And then Scape Con is just Heroscape, which is great. But, that's a lot more. It's a lot more focused on it. So if you're just having a bad run, you're kind of like losing games a lot more consistently. And I'm just trying to get this lighting set up here. Now I'm using some drab brown from Pro Acryl and just adding a base to this flag. I don't know if we'll be doing this tonight, but once all this dries, I'll be using some water slide decals I've printed and putting the Velcro symbol on this. I got invited to ScapeCon, but it was the busiest time of my personal life, so I really don't think I can make it happen. Yeah, ScapeCon is a lot of fun, but it is at tough times to visit. Like, I don't even know if I'll be able to go the full time this year. Just summer months are tough for me. We need more fall adjacent stuff, but I know that's busier for other people. I do pest control, so all the bugs come out, and summertime, especially this summer, it's been crazy. So summer's a little bit harder. Like fall, winter, it slows down a bit just because there's less bugs out here where I live, and I would love more events to happen during that time. Next year, I'm planning on starting a mini-con myself in Kansas. I'm calling it Scape Central. I'm still working on details, but my parents own an event space on their property that can house a good amount of people, and kind of like a refurbished barn type of deal. And I'd love to have a good event there for some of us more Central Americans. Alright. And I got some leather brown here on my palette. I'll bring my palette just a bit in closer. I didn't do any. The good reason to do zenithal highlight when I stream is just so you can see it but you also get just the color coming in naturally. I'm actually going to use that black brown here just to get a bit more of a transitional base and then kind of move into it. Just lots of browns all around. That's one of the hardest things I find is kind of balancing browns. You know, you have like all the Vorids with all these shades of leather and fur, and you just really got to kind of choose different bases, or just buy a bunch of browns if you don't want to mix two colors. But feel free to add a little bit of blue or green. Escape Kansas Con, yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm getting the schematics laid out. Mix some blue, green, or red. Like mix a primary color into it, and you can kind of start building some different variations of leather and browns and stuff like that. Or you can just buy a bunch of brown paint, and just have a variety on hand. I'm just putting our base layer down, which is never very exciting. I probably need to start just doing a base layer models and then jumping more into the highlights. The highlights require so much more focus that it's harder to do. I can kind of talk and not even pay attention when I'm doing this. And I'm just being lazy today and using my wide variety of browns I have on hand. I'm going to use some dark golden brown from Pro Acryl just to start buffing up some of these colors a bit differently. I'm using a big brush today, a size 5 from Monument. If you haven't noticed, I am a Monument fan, but of course you can use whatever brush works best for you. And I'm just kind of filling in these large areas here. This guy is pretty easy to paint. Kind of was going while the dark brown was still wet, and kind of blending it in just to kind of create a bit of an easy blend while I do this. Kansas is closer than Indy for you. I hope to make it happen. Lucky to have Adepticon only 2 hours away. I was happy to hear Renegade wants to increase their presence next year. Yeah, I've never been to Adepticon. I feel like that actually might be more my scene for the painting and stuff like that. I always like the reveals that come from it. And I don't. What state is that in? That's in Minnesota. It's up north, I think. I could be completely wrong. Wisconsin, I don't know, one of those northern states. But I always like the paint drops that come from that day. I'm taking some of that drab brown and just sketching in these spikes. Yeah, it feels good to go. I don't know why I have so much like trepidation going live. It's actually really enjoyable. Milwaukee, that's it. Um, it's enjoyable for me, and I enjoy doing it. I think I get a little nervous sometimes, so I appreciate everyone talking, giving kind words. It does keep me encouraged to keep on talking and keep on doing this. October is going to be a really fun month for this channel. I'm a big fan of Halloween, and so we're going to be painting a lot of undead. I got all those earmarked. Uh, we got a lot of new undead that were coming or coming out, and so it's going to be Scapetober all month long. About the first half will be like undead and spooky things, and then the last half will be a lot more just kind of just scape focused stuff in honor of National Heroscape Day. So September, I'm probably going to be a little quiet, and then we're going to be popping off in October is the plan. I have new logo changes that I've done, and I wish it was Halloween all year long. I mean, what's better than dressing up like a weirdo and getting candy from strangers? I cannot. But the con I would want to leave would probably be in like, I'm trying to decide a date. October starts getting a little too cold, so it'd be either earlier in the year, kind of around springtime, or fall time. I probably like fall because honestly Kansas is really nice in the fall, and it's very temperate. But it's also a little bit more risky because the weather can be whatever it feels like. I get a bit of a smaller brush here. Don't want to use my sables just yet. Aha, there we go. I'm going to switch down to a size, I wrote it, but I think this is size 2 Flanix. It doesn't really matter what brush you use when you're kind of doing this kind of stuff. For more of like the detailed stuff, once you start working with the sable brush, it's really fun, but you definitely got to kind of know what you're doing. So that you don't ruin them. Yeah, my kids got a hold of one of my brushes and they were poking it. This is a sable brush. I spent a decent amount of money on. My kids got it and started using it as a pokey stick into boxes and just going. I was sad about that. So have some synthetics on hand if you have kids that can take the brunt. I love them. I love my kids to death, but they're honoring. They're too creative for their own good. They were playing. They're trying to make a tic-tac-toe board, like with holes in the back of a box, and they found the nearest implemented that work and went from there. Let me pull up an image of what this guy looks like here. Yeah, he's just lots of shades of brown. All right. We're gonna get like more of a warm tone going here for some of this brown. Like a burnt umber there, like go into that. No one can ever cook umber right, like I'm serious. Someone just needs to. Alright, we got some warm brown for some just different color tones so it doesn't all look like a mindless blob. Yeah, I normally don't stream. I try to stream a little bit earlier, but I just had to get it done today. Alright. We're on the road to 800 subscribers, which is really exciting. My goal is to do a big push and get us to 1,000. So we can do some fun giveaways and do some fun stuff I have kind of earmarked for the channel. I'm bad at shorts. I think I know that's where a lot of the traffic is from. But man, I'm not good at making shorts. And I could learn. I think it's hard for me because I care a little bit too much about things. And it's hard for me to spend a lot of time for something that is like a minute long. But I've been doing some research into it. I'm more of a long form type of guy. But I'm happy we finally got another painting tutorial done, which has been on the back burner for like 3 months. Just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to say with it. So if you're looking to do some fun stuff with your Maladrix, definitely check out that video I just posted. It's one of my more favorite recent ones I've done. I liked how she turned out, and as always, my videos have lots of references to lots of references to movies, and I'm mainly making jokes for myself most of the time. I'm surprised no one has commented yet, but I make a reference to how Maladrix acts like a xenomorph. And I wanted like the chest bursting scene from Aliens, but then I kind of rewatched it. I was like, oh, this is a little violent. This is a little bloody for kind of my audience that typically watches my stuff. But then I remembered Spaceballs has the exact same scene with the exact same actor, so I used Spaceballs instead of the Alien scene. Just stole a little clip from that. And a lot of Starship Trooper references. See, I love the movie Starship Troopers. Like, I guess ironically and unironically, like, it's a very interesting movie. And like, the 90s effects, like the CGI, I have just like the good stuff, like the Jurassic Park, and I don't know, I just have like a nostalgic feel for how it feels, how it hits. My favorite type of thing to have is like that 70s Technicolor. I'm a big film guy, for those who don't. That 70s Technicolor type stuff it's just so textured and so evocative. That's like my favorite style of film grain. I think I'm just rambling now at this point, but what's what's the point of having my own YouTube channel if I cannot ramble? Lest I ramble. Alright. And let's get a good green going here for the face and the body. I'm really glad comments have come out, because it gives me so much room for the editing and the filming of the little guys, examples of 70s texture, things like Lawrence of Arabia, 2001: Space Odyssey, just that kind of reminiscent feel of. It feels very textured. I think those are late 60s, if my memory is serving me correct. Late 60s, early 70s. I was watching a movie called... I like actually kind of like more of the underground texture even more. Like, I was watching a movie by... what's his name? Alfonso Cuarón, called El Topo, like this weird Western. All in Spanish and stuff like that. So I love the look of that one. Oh, like Good, Bad, the Ugly. Just kind of that look it has, like that you see a lot of it nowadays emulated online, like that like old-fashioned fantasy kind of feel to it. Even later things like Princess Bride, I mean, it's a bit snobby, but I like the feel of film. And not to say that you can't make good things with digital, but it hits more nostalgic for me. I don't get to watch as many movies now. I used to be pretty voracious with it. where I'd watch about 2 movies a day. But having 3 kids definitely does make that a bit hard. I was one of those people who, if you all remember MoviePass, I think it was one of those people who put that out of business. Because I literally watched in college at one time. It was a weekend. I watched like 6 movies via MoviePass one day. No, it wasn't 6. It was 4. It was 4 movies. But I watched 8 total movies at the theater with the MoviePass in 1 week. I had to downsize, but I used to have like a collection of like 1,000 plus DVDs and stuff like that. Nowadays, I don't watch too much. I paint more than I watch. But also, further examples, a lot of Tarkovsky stuff. You gotta have Solaris. I think Solaris is probably my favorite example of that, where just you can feel the presence of the grain, and it's like a character in the story itself. Which, if you've never seen Tarkovsky's Solaris, definitely. I mean, it's like 3 hours long, and it's in Russian, and it's from the '60s. But man, I cry every time I watch it. But like, not like a heaving. It's not like sad. It's just, it's poetry, is what it is. It's not just entertainment. Let's see here. Let's get some green tone on the skin. I'm using some dark camo green as the base, which I've been using a lot of. I kind of like the brown green tones of camo green. And I'm going to go down to a smaller brush just for some easier access. Now, if you're using monument paints, they're a little bit hydrophobic. They don't respond as well to water. They don't like need to be mixed as much. So you want to we'll just do a small bit of moisture and kind of pull them away, from their respective little pile on the palette. Just hit these corners here. Appreciate that you like it. Enjoy movies. You can turn my brain off, buckle the seatbelt, and just enjoy the ride. Oh, I'm totally with you there. I think movies can be both art and entertainment. I love Godzilla movies, even the bad ones. I like that's my guilty pleasures is Godzilla movies. And they're bad. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is bad 90% of the time. I like when movies are that you can shut your brain off, but they still have something there. At least like they care about the production or the visuals or like the quantity of it. I'm not a big fan of just like things happening. But I went through this period I think every person goes through where you get your love of film can turn you to a bit of an elitist, and I was just like hated every movie that came out, and I was a snob, and people stopped hanging out with me and inviting me because I was so negative. I kind of just reached the point where I was like, I just want to enjoy things, so I'm always trying to find a reason to like something because I'm naturally very critical and very pessimistic as a person. I don't think it shows through because I've been on a road to improving my outlook on many a thing. But I definitely had a journey because I was not happy as I was just constantly critical. And I think there's definitely room. Again, it's kind of that flippy flop. There's room to be critical and room to be a little a little, judgmental, for lack of a better word. But it's all about balance, I'd say. If someone says this is my favorite movie, I'm not going to be like trying to convince you otherwise. Unless it's Phantom of the Opera, the Joe Schumacher one, then I will try to. Otherwise, other than that, don't like musicals. I don't like that movie, but that's other than that. I like to hear why you enjoy it, and I'm always trying to have an open mind to be convinced of something. So I'm not. I'm trying to be like, yeah. Tell me why you love this. Let me experience your love, and I don't have to love it, but at least I can understand where you're coming from, type of deal. What's an example of a movie you like to turn your brain off to? Also, I'm not talking about the model, but I used some what paint is this here? This is Monument's new kind of amp color lines I'm testing out. This is some burnt umber with a dry brush and on my dry palette, and I'm just removing the excess and catching all these furs here for a bit of a brighter contrast. This is a great model of the dry brush because, you know what, I don't want to pick out all these hairs. Fast and the Furious, any of them. I've never seen a Fast. I think I've seen the first one, actually. And I like. I mean, you gotta give respect to the action cinematography of at least the first few. Like those movies somehow made cars like collectively, I think, as a nation, cool. Like, America's always had like a fascination with cars, but I think it capitalized on that. And to make driving fast interesting, I think gives a lot of credit. I have a genuine question. Did they ever go to space? I feel like the series has a all if eventually every movie of that kind goes to space. But I don't know if they did or not. Some dumb, completely outrageous, but I love them. Now I know they have a pretty big following of people that like them. See, I personally am not a big car guy, so it was never like interesting. Like, it never caught my eye. But I had a friend who was like obsessed with, like, he could quote all of the movie. They dropped cars out of a plane throw, so next step is space. Okay. I could totally see them doing like Fast and Furious on the moon. And I think that would be awesome. And we're just catching all these here. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow tones to this just to kind of make it stand out. We got some caramel brown here. Like I said, I'm just using all my browns I have on hand. I'm not doing fancy mixes tonight. I just want to get this done. We're going to take this caramel brown and we're going to do a little bit of that burnt umber mixed together just to kind of create this lighter tone. If you notice it's starting to come out a little bit too thick, that means you haven't. You want it to be almost non-existent when it comes off the brush. And we're really just, since this is a lighter tone, we're really just focused on kind of the more light areas, like the haunches and the back of the tail and the face, where we want to draw a bit more attention to. I'm going to just do a few more of this. Yeah, there we go. You want this high contrast before it was just not dark enough. And dry brushing is like any other paint application. You can put it in layers. So we're kind of layering up some different tones to make this look a bit more interesting. to the edge of these ears, top of the head, and around the face especially. I'm also just using this on the leather bits as well. We're going to blend this down a bit, but just... I mean, this isn't a showpiece. It's just kind of something I wanted to get done, so I'm being lazy on this. Remember, the happiest painter is the laziest painter, so... What you have your paints on is that a version of wet palette. This right here is a wet palette. Essentially, a wet palette is a sponge, a kind of transmutable piece of paper like a baking sheet, and a lid with water at the bottom, so you can keep the moisture in. Ultimately, what a wet palette does is keep your paints fresh and thin them down slightly. Like, the purpose of a wet palette isn't to thin your paints down, but it's just more of an added bonus. So if I put this in with Kansas's humidity, these paints would be dry in about 5 to 10 minutes. With the wet palette, I can work on these for a couple days at a time and still maintain my mixes and still maintain my freshness of the paint. And also, it's just a great way to take your paint, because when you thin your paint, you want to take it and pull it out like that, and then kind of remove the excess. And that's how you kind of keep your paints fresh and alive. It gives you just space to do that. You can buy them online for like $20, or you can make your own for a couple bucks, like what I did at. You weren't at ScapeCon, but that's what I did at ScapeCon. But really, it's all it is water slightly seeps down through this paper, because the sponge is filled with water. You don't want to overload it, but you want a good amount of water so that it maintains its moisture. You don't want water on top of this, per se. Like, you want to avoid any puddles of water and wipe those off. And you want this to be kind of firmly flat on this. So water comes up, and depending on your paint, you know, how long it will last, and such like that. And this is parchment paper on top. This is, I mean, officially wet palette paper, but all it is parchment paper. If you wanted just to make this real fast, just get a small, like, Tupperware paper towel and parchment paper, cut to it on top, and wet the paper towel. And when you're done, and it'll keep your, put the lid on when you're done, and it will keep your paints alive for so much longer. It's a great way to maintain and control your paints. If you get some paints, depending on their levels, if you keep it on too long, will get oversaturated with water, and you'll just have to kind of set your palette. But at very least, it'll ensure a whole painting session is good to go. But no, it's a really helpful tool. Typically, there's mixed people on it. You can put like metallics and washes on it, although it's not recommended, as it can kind of get into the sponge and seep. But if you're careful with it, it's not the end of the world. I typically just use more what's called a dry palette, which is your standard palette for washes and metallics, even though I put them on my wet palette here because I was in the zone. And we'll talk about this. So when you're done with a dry brush, notice that you got paint all in it. You don't want to spend too much on your dry brushes, as, I mean, they take the most damage out of any brush. But you can make them last longer. This right here is some brush soap, which is great to have if you don't want to keep on buying brushes. And you just kind of can clean your brushes while you're using it. That way the paint doesn't settle. And you can keep on using your brushes. If you take care of your brushes, they can last a long time. Like, here, I'll show you. This is when I first started painting. I did not take care of my brushes. This is one of my first brushes I had. I would keep my brush in like that overnight. I was when you first start painting, you're just kind of brutalistic on your brushes, and I would just paint like this, and yeah, it's not. This was dead in like a couple days after I got it, but I still keep it around because I use it for mixing. It's good to keep your old brushes if possible, just for harder applications. Every brush has kind of a health bar, and if you damage that health bar on the brush, then you got to get a new one. Pretty much once the brush, like the ferrule, is compromised where the paint meets the brush here, for the most part, your brush is kind of starting to die a slow death at this point. Let's see here. We're just kind of let's start blending some of these colors down a bit. If I can find my paints. Cleaned up before I started, which was a mistake, because now I know where nothing's at. I'm looking for my translucent brown right now, or transparent brown, I'm sorry. Pretty much, it's more of a thicker contrast paint. Might just use some inks then if I don't have it. That's where I lose my head and we're attached. Alright, well I'm going to start layering up. Hand sanitizer is good to use on some brushes from time to time. Hand sanitizer, never heard of that. I'll have to look into that more. And so I'm taking some ivory and some of that drab brown just to make a mid-tone for these spikes. And we're starting to add a bit of residual highlights to this. Making it more close to a skull, light skull tone. Yeah, warm water is good to do. You actually don't want to use too warm water after you wash your brushes, as that, I mean, if it's too hot, if it's like boiling hot or really hot, it can break down the glue connecting to your bristles. So it's actually better to use more of a cooler water with soap, if possible. It's good to see Gothlock. Yeah, good old Gothlock. I realized I didn't have one. I've painted a dozen of these so far, but they keep on getting snatched up from people. I swear, every time I finish a model, I get a message saying, "Hey, do you have this model?" And me not wanting to paint another one, I was like, "Yeah, here it is. You can buy it from me." Like, if I've kept all the dwarves I painted, I would have like 60 squads of dwarves at this point. But Gothlock's a fun little guy. We might have to break out more of the fine tip brush for these teeth here, which I kind of forgot existed. I'm moving the excess from my brush just to catch this. This is coming down more to control. I'm trying to keep that separation betwixt these teeth, if at all possible, just to save me some steps later on. I'm going to mess up eventually, and I'll have to go through and probably relayer it back up. But for now, You got an axe to grind with those dwarves? No, they just keep on getting bought. I love them. I just can never keep them. But I guess I am tired of painting them for a little bit. And I got some on the lips there, but it's not the end of the world. Bless me. Whew, the sneeze came out of nowhere. Yeah, I wash it with dish soap. That's usually what I use once I'm all done painting for the day. And we're just filling back his legs. Let's get a little bit too much of that overbrush. Let's see, do I have any... Alright. I got some ink here, which I've been experimenting a lot with. Some ink from Chimera, some of their Velvet line. We're gonna tone down some of these. I'm actually gonna add a little bit brighter tones with some ochre, which will look nice once we kind of blend it down. Some bright ochre we're using here. And we're kind of just catching the edges. Going a little bit brighter so it stands out. And just adding a little bit of stippling where I'm just moving the brush. That. I'm being a little sloppy with this because I know I'm going to tone this down and blend it. Alright, and I'm using my vortex mixer for those who can't see, which is a really great way to easily mix your paint without killing your wrist. And I am taking some water and just adding this to it, becomes a glaze-like consistency. There we go, so it's very transparent. And then we're just going to layer this on. So we still maintain the colors below. We'll get to introduce some hues and blend them down really nice. Kind of give it a greenish brown tone to it, which I like. I'll be honest, I did not expect this many people to show up on a Thursday night at 11 o'clock, but I'm happy you're all here. Alright. I'll just put some of the flag while I'm here. I'm going to brighten that flag up later, but get some of that shadowing done. I forgot he has a little saddle. You, of course, can use speed paints to get this done a lot faster if you're just looking to botch it out, but I like using my standard acrylics. It is Thursday if you need sleep. Thursday's pretty much Friday, and Friday is pretty much Saturday, so you're good. Alright, let's get a brighter green going. If I can find where I put it. We'll just use standard green and mix it with that dark camo we've used thus far. Just to create a nice bright color. You gotta watch when you have little drippies on your edge of your brush. Those will ruin your day. I don't really like how this guy's face is sculpted. It's just kind of awkward. But we'll make do. And we're slowly but surely getting there. Oh, we got a little green on his leg we'll have to fix. And you always, I hate hands holding swords because I always miss one half. I always just ignore it. There we go. And last thing I want to show off probably for tonight, well, we're rapidly running out of things to paint, and all right, and we're going to take some bold titanium white, or really whatever white you have on hand. But bold titanium white is so nice. If you have to buy just one paint from Pro Acryl, get their whites, as man, they are nice. and powerful and solid, not chalky at all. And ever so slightly dipping in, we are going to put in tiny little white dots in his eyes. And wait for that to dry. And I'm going to go through, wait for that to dry. And mix a bit of this white to that. And get just a tiny bit so it doesn't overpower it. Just kind of create a blend of that. That's great. And we're just going to start adding, needs a bit more water. And we're going to start adding just a bit more layers to these spikes to really make them stand out and be a bit more smooth. Just kind of tracing the outermost curve, the outlines, trying to maintain the shadows and not kind of erase the work we've done thus far. And kind of bringing where we want the light to be the brightest and pulling the paint down so it slowly kind of goes into the layers beneath. And let's just get a bit of pure. Now, get these corners here. And we're getting there. This is looking pretty good. So far, we have a lot more details to do, but we're on a good path here. Definitely going to look better than the original pre-paint, I think. At the very least. Okay. And lastly, let's add some fun fluorescent to this guy's eyes to make it really pop. These are some paints I got from Gen Con. These are Lethal Shadows, which are really nice fluorescents, but really a lot of companies sell them nowadays. Most are pretty good. I like Pro Acryl if you're looking for some, but these ones are really vibrant. Fluorescents are paints with high density of pigment and such, so it appears like they're glowing because the way they catch the light is very powerful. You want to apply this over the lightest surface possible, and it's very thin. It acts like a sort of glaze when you put it on, and just gives these really strong glowing looks that I've been using a lot for my eyes and for highlights and stuff like that. Let me just add a little detail to these teeth. We're starting to get to the fine details. Using that pure ivory and just catching some lines there. You definitely need a very fine tip brush for this. You can't use that with a too thick of a brush for this part. As you want to try to catch each tooth individually, if possible. Alright, so this is where I think we'll stop for tonight. I think we had a pretty good stream so far. Thank you for everyone who stopped in and chatted. It is getting kind of late on my end too, so I probably should stop. But yeah, this is kind of me working on our Gothlock so far. He's coming along really good. We of course have a lot more details and highlights to bring him out, but it's getting into a place where I'm happy with. This brush is called the Psycho. Oh, is it the Psycho, the Insane Detail brush? Either way, it's a pretty small brush. This is like a size 000, I think. So definitely got to be careful with those because they're very fragile with such a small tip. Of course, there's other ways to paint these teeth, and I still have a lot of work to do on them. You can kind of paint the whole area the color you want and just apply a wash if you don't want to pick out each individual tooth. But it's good to if you want to practice your brush control to learn a bit of that. There's not really a better answer on how to do it besides kind of lots of practice, which I try to avoid. But thank you so much for watching, Tails. You have a good night. I should probably be heading off soon as well. Thank you so much for everyone to chat, and definitely expect some more stuff from me in the future as I'm on a flow right now. I'm in a good spot, proving things, making things better as always, and it's the calm before the storm. Come October, it's going to be getting all sorts of busy again. So you all take care, and thanks so much for watching. You all have a good night.